Hi guys, it's me, just losing it again. And for this video, I will be talking about the third episode of the first season of Halo. My favorite TV franchise turned into a TV show. And this episode called Emergence because of a few things emerging into existence from the game, which I gotta say is like pretty nice that the episode, so far it's still pretty good. The first episode was good, the next one was good too. I like this one the best of all time. Because in this one, you see, there's a very important character that was created that they give the voice actress from the actual the actual video game series to play the voice of the character, and quite frankly, I screamed my pants. It was just so welcoming to hear Jen Taylor's voice of Cortana. Especially because they changed so much in some of the other parts of the show that it was just so nice to hear this wonderful voice again. This calming, this mother-like figure from the actual games. It was so nice to hear that again. Especially because I believe that they played on the joke of Kevin Hardy being like a British type accented person, whereas the actual character of Cortana doesn't have that accent, but she uses many British idioms. So that could have been not the game too, because originally she was supposed to be a British themed AI. But I am kind of upset that they didn't go with the actual character model from Halo 4 because, as you all know, Halo 4's, Cortana was a little bit differently. With a very big, bootylicious curvature of her body. That was actually really funny surprise when I first played the game. I was like, god damn. Anyway, this show is, this episode is very interesting because it shows how the process that takes place where Cortana is actually made or manufactured from a plastic clump. Which I'll get into in a little bit, but, yeah, it's more unpleasant than I would like to give it credit for. And, yeah, if you thought the bottom is so creepy, from what I've said in the past and what you've seen in movies and TV shows and documentaries and things, this will definitely disturb you even more. So let's see here now. There's actually a pretty interesting thing where they do Juan's character development. It's kind of he doesn't really play a big of a part in this episode for whatever reason. Maybe they got sick of working with her, or maybe because they realized that people didn't like to listen to her whine and complain about everything, whatever. But they definitely cut it down a little bit. Until she's taken hostage by somebody and said that my family is very rich and all this stuff. So we get this introduction of this planet, this colony of this of another part of the world that we never see before in any of the games, where we see the abduction of the Blessed One, the girl that's always following around the Prophet of Mercy like a little puppy dog, and apparently she's been brainwashed into thinking that she's something special to help out the Covenant in their war. Now, I have no idea whether they're trying to make it so that this character is supposed to be like a direct parallel to John 117, or if they're trying to make her like a parallel to Quan, because Quan's an insurrectionist that gets helps out the UNSC, whereas she's just a colony person that goes against the UNSC and all the humanity. Because in the cartoon, in the episode, they had it so that she called on the distress call on the distress channel to the UNSC ships. Say, please help me, please help me. My ship was overcome by Covenant and blah 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 and all this stuff. Trying to get the ships to help her out. And make way to help her out and stuff. And thereby leaving themselves like vulnerable for attack or board or something. Which is a very, very good trick. And I like the way they imply that she's something else other than a human being. She got like some kind of a disguise going on and whatever. And then she's really covered in person underneath that skin. Kinda like the alien from Men in Black. Only much better at camouflage. I also found it interesting that she was found by an operator, and he uses a weird stick or weird device to find out who she really is. Much in the same way that Phil Bellamy was branded as the operator in the Halo 2 games. It reminded me of that. Or it could have been another cool melee weapon. I don't know what they were trying to play with that. But she was like being very special. So they decided to bring her up and raise her up to be moved into the UNSC. And it's very effective because the UNSC does fall for at least one time where they follow the call and get their ass into them by a bunch of Lucola worms. Now, I like the way they portray the Lucola worms as being the hunters in fighting form and all that. But then they also have the Lucola worms come out of their shell, as it were, to keep kept out of that particular ship into like a hold, like a death hold. Well, the Blessed One, uses her pinky nail to get information from the guy. Much like Meg's completely gets the claws from the episode where they get powers. And it really reminded me of that. Anyway, she's the right hand man of the Prophet of Mercy. Someone wants to do something where she dies by his hand, it doesn't make any sense to have her be in the rest of the show. I think she's gonna die by somebody else, and probably the chief of one or somebody else. Because it doesn't make sense, otherwise she'd be in the game somewhere. Anyway, they also have a nice little colony inside of an asteroid, which is really nice because we only see that kind of thing in Halo 4. Unfortunately, we only got that late night franchise, but I wish they had that in the original trilogy. A colony inside of a giant space rock. That would be nice. Now for the actual procedure. Because in the last episode, they teased the idea of Cortana. And Cortana was basically an AI made from a lost clone's brain of a clone of the smartest person on Earth, which happened to be Dr. Halsey. Kind of like a little bit of narcissistic, so that the only person that's good enough to be an AI is the smartest person on Earth. That'd be me. More. So they make this clone. She's bold, probably differentiate between her and Halsey. And she has all the memories, all the skills, all the knowledge of the original, which is kind of weird and creepy, the fact that she can carry on a high intelligent conversation with the original. And I would have a few questioning problems if I were talking to my real clone or like that. But I guess you're probably used to doing that in the real scientific world. Anyways, I can really funny to see that you were able to put together like 3D puzzles and all that. When I did 3D puzzles, that just became a huge mess. So she had to do the kind of intelligence testing and memory testing and that kind of thing. So it was actually funny that they did that like that. So so it was time for Dr. Halsey to kill her clone and make Cortana into reality. So they take John, they put him on the table and stuff. They do certain procedures to make him feel like he's awake during the procedure, but he can't move. And then they take the first clone and they do something that I didn't think possible. And when I always read about it in the books that they made AI from first clone DNA of living humans, but I always assumed that they take the person, kill them, and then lob off the top of the head and take the brain out that way. But no, that would have been too PG, if you will. Because what to do with it? They take a blood needle, put it over the clone's eye like so, and then they very quickly stab the person in the eye with it. Much creepier than, say, a lobotomy, in which they just insert the needle right into the corner of the eye. But this a stab right into into the pupil of it. So that was really not very pleasant at all. Now I know why people have fears of that kind of thing in the eye. And yeah, that would give me nightmares tonight. So what happens then is that it takes brain tissue and then they took it through this syringe needle into like a collector device. So it's kind of like mummification, in which they take your brain and they scramble it up and then pull it through your nose. Now, this is where I think that it's kind of stupid, because I would imagine that in the process of doing that, which probably you don't show what happened to the body, they show it all through imagery, which does disturbing as it sounds. But anyway, the thing is that I would think that you want to have an entire brain intact when that happens. Otherwise, something might damage the clone and all that, and something might damage the AI and stuff. So, the fact that they scramble up and they make it into a brain soup kind of destroys all the neural pathways and all that you need to make a workable AI, I would think. So anyway, they insert this brain goo into John into the back of his head, much like his neural implants were to go. But I guess the only reason why he did that was so that Cortana would have had a suitable location to enter into, and so that his brain would be compatible with Halsey's brain, so that it would make the transition for Cortana a lot better. I don't think that was in the books or the game. But anyway, they show they show this process, and the body is destroyed. Like in the movie Gattaca. And the thing is that the doctor that got to help out with the procedure, not Halsey, they introduced him like remember Brad Dwarf from Alien Resurrection? How he was so obsessed over the beautiful baby and stuff, that kind of thing. Well, that's how it did the nuts about the clone of Halsey, and he almost kissed her too, which is really kind of weird. You know, you're kissing a dead, almost dead person. So anyway, after all this done and the body destroyed and all that, without caring the world why killing a living, breathing clone of yourself, you know, that just shows how cold and how distant she is when it comes to social interactions, that she's willing to kill her own mirror image, literally her own mirror image. After all this is done and transplant is complete, they show John talking with Cortana. Now, I always believe that in the games, all the Cortana interaction and whatnot came from the suit, his Miona armor, and not from his biological systems. But it looks like they put it so that she's actually implanted into his neural network, which is something that I find kind of interesting. It'd be like you having your Alexa or your GPS fused into your brain. It's rather annoying after a while, especially because Cortana has access to all John's search history. I know that they mean it just for like logistic and strategic purposes, but it could also mean other search history. Yeah, I'm not gonna add to that, but you know what I mean. Anyway, she comes off as really annoying in the first couple hours of it in showtime because she's like, I can help you, I can help you, I can help you. No, John doesn't want to help, but one doesn't need any help. Kind of like my father. I can help you, I can. No, Joe, I don't need your help. I don't need your help in lifting these heavy objects. I don't need directions. Whatever. Until we get wind of the artifact that I got from a previous episode. And it's funny because that artifact is like one of the artifacts from the books or something from Mandrago. So that's really funny that Cortana actually knows about his vision and dreams when he touched it the first time. So to help him out, he has removed the inhibitor pill or capsule from his back to and then he wanted to go touch it again to see if there's any difference in there. And he over there told what to do and that kind of thing as he removes the chip from his backside. And it's really funny because one more moving, the guy could be paralyzed. Probably worse than me. But anyway, that's really funny scene to me. And what's even more funny is that Dr. Halls is like, I can't believe you let him do that. Oh, I just helped him with direction and actually physically help him do that. So you're supposed to follow my orders. But, yeah, he needs to Cortana be in his head, quite literally. So, then he marches over to the artifact. And she said, don't you dare touch it. Don't you dare touch it. So, that's really funny because whenever a woman tells a man, don't touch it, that's when he automatically touches it into that spite. It's kind of like that. Remember the cartoon Ren and Stimpy, which it's old, calling that cartoon old, but whatever. So anyway, they have a salesman guy talking with Stimpy about the universal erasure button. So he's always tempting me to touch the button. So when he finally does touch the button, it's like a whole bunch of alarms go off, and he says, "I'm sorry, Ren. I'm sorry I had to touch it. I had to touch the button." So then that's really funny. That reminded me this episode. Like, the more you tell him not to touch it, the more tempted he is to touch it and see all the pretty little effects. And he does get more vision, more into his dream, because due to the trauma dealing with his father and mother. And it turned out that maybe, just maybe, he got wind of another artifact from the Forerunners. Now, I don't know what this is supposed to be. It might have been mentioned in the books. I don't know. I'm not too into that. But, yeah, it's kind of interesting that he found someone previously that he didn't know about that was like something that's important to the whole universe. So anyway, they have that, and then they set off on a grand quest to find it from his homeworld, his adoptive homeworld, after they go through a whole big thing about him and Cortana search through all the UNSC planets, or one that Spartans have trained on and all that, and which ones have rings on them and all that. By the way, I personally would like to see what Earth would look like with rings, with X-rays on it. And that's something I would like to see. And also another thing too, I will applaud this show for being subscriber for the role of Chief. He looks a lot like what's his name? John Barenthal from the Punisher show, among other things within. So let's they do the whole Red Quest thing, and each of them yellow armor with the Chief in it, again with no helmet on, which is really a stupid mistake to do that with no helmet on the Chief. I mean, we've always seen that he's human underneath it, but that just shows a big weakness. And besides, if you're encased an entire armor over a couple of days at least, you should have a basic weight complexion, like Palpatine, like Darth Vader in the Star Wars original trilogy. Yeah, fun here. I also have the Bloods of Fun going her mission too to the swim more lives before, and they have Captain Halsey over there. Tell me, would you consider shooting a clone of yourself to be suicide or homicide? Don't forget about medical ethics or anything like that. Would it be considered homicide or suicide to do that? Anyway, with really weird. Well, they're like you said, I love the fact that they got the original actress, Cortana Gentile, to do the voice of Cortana. And I was like, is that her? I checked the credits on my thing, on Netflix thing. I said, oh yeah, holy shit, they finally did it. They finally put a voice actress from the game into the show. And they also make mention of Miranda, Kevin's daughter, and Keith's daughter too. So that was nice. I can't wait to see her in the show. If they did show her. I've always had a bit of a crush on Miranda Keith from the games. But let's see. Yeah, I like the better E03 before she is shot. Obviously. Let's see. That's about it. I like the design of the space pod for the humans. I like the design of the ships. I like the orbiter, the Halo Singularly. I like the Prophet designs. I don't really like the lots of one. She's weird because she has the book in English and whatnot. So it's kind of weird. Like you hate humans, but yet you have a book for them from them to yourself as you send you death. That doesn't make any sense, does it? Anyway, I thank you for watching my video on episode 3 of season 1 of Halo called Emergence. We get some very important character development on the side of the Master Chief, and we get some introduction of Cortana. I like the way that he's portrayed to be very annoying and very irritating John at first, but then he realized that she can be an ally to us. And the first thing she comes off as it's like a annoying GPS voice, and then she eventually moves out to be a health person, or an AI, I should say, that she can interact with technology even when John doesn't touch it himself. I don't know why they made it so that he can access different parts of his memory by touching the weird device artifact by the Forerunners without use of his emotional inhibitor or insert or whatever you call it thing, because I would imagine that Forerunner technology can overwrite or UNSC scientific technology stuff to be really important and very big. Anyway, I enjoyed this episode quite a bit. I don't know what they're gonna do with Quan, but that was a pretty good episode. It's a phone call from me. Anyway, if you like what you hear, want to see more of my videos and stuff, you can always like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel. Also, you can contact me for future information on my videos, but call me or text me at 631-707-3707, or if you want, you can follow me on Twitter or X at PNelsonPro. Also, my email is jjsviewingchannel@gmail.com. So, I assume anyone like the show, the Halo game, the Halo universe, which thank you for doing this show, the Halo universe, and yeah, this doesn't true that voice for Flashpoint sucks, because the process that they make Cortana with is much more gruesome and much more graphic than I would have thought possible. And I thought the violence were weird and cringy, or like when they shot the needle into the eye of the clone, or like, I couldn't watch. So yeah, peace out, my brothers and sisters. I'll see you in the next video. All you girls and guys in internet land. Sayonara, ciao ciao, and then be insane.